The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Tyson McMurran. I am your host and presenter today. We'll get started here in about 1 minute. Just wanted to open up the meeting ahead of time. From a housekeeping perspective, if you do have any questions, put them in the chat and we will address them as we see them come in, or we'll wait until the end and address them at that point in time. Okay, it's the top of the hour. My name is Tyson McMurran. I am your host today, and today we are covering off talking about multi-channel sales and how to eliminate enterprise issues and position your company for growth. So, Third Wave Business Systems has been in business for over 25 years, and we've worked with customers to get the most out of their ERP systems. As the original SAP Business One Gold Partner in North America, we work hard to help you grow and thrive in a digital world. So anything that you need from a Business One perspective, we're here to help and support you in your growth journey. So as I mentioned, today we're talking about multi-channel sales. When we talk about multi-channel sales, I'm going to talk about some of the examples. There are so many different sales channels out there. And what hopefully through today's presentation you'll realize is that you can go to market through all of these sales channels using SAP Business One and working with us at Third Wave to help you streamline your operations. So with every go-to-market sales channel, they come with different needs and challenges, and also like the outcomes in regards to how you ship and invoice your orders. So I guess the big question today is, which one is best? Many of our customers are successful in just dealing with one channel, but numerous of our customers are multi-channel sellers, and we are seeing a huge spike, obviously, with the pandemic in demand for e-commerce. And I'll talk about e-commerce specifically in a few slides when we get into talking about the different types of transactions. But across all of these channels, the realization is that all of them have their unique pieces to them, but there are a couple common things that kind of come through, and one is paperwork. Every single one of these requires you to generate some kind of paperwork, whether that is physical paper or digital paper, and communicating and keeping those lines of communication flowing and eliminating the flow of things is really important. The other thing that comes with all of these different channels is the need for inventory unit of measures. As you start to do multi-channel, you're going to need multiple units of measure normally. The other thing we see is that pricing comes into play. So knowing and understanding how you can leverage the pricing strategies that are within SAP Business One to best meet your customer experience and to eliminate the back office processes by having all of that information up front. So I'm going to walk through a couple different scenarios of these three examples here: the retail chain, e-commerce, and mom and pop boutique shops. And I'm going to talk about some of the challenges that we see when we're working with customers and how we can help overcome those. And then we'll go through these examples, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the cost of all of these different pieces, and then we'll get into how I can help you position your organization for growth. So when we talk about selling to a mom and pop boutique, generally you're selling cases of items. You might have mixed cases where you're mixed packing. Generally the order entry process is either going to be the customer sending you an Excel spreadsheet, emailing you an order, a sales rep entering that, And yes, I do still see triplicate forms out there that get faxed or scanned and then emailed, where they're reordering their items, and they'll have this like order pad that basically they're just ordering the items off of, and then they're sending that in, and then somebody is rekeying that information into the system of record. So with the mom and pop boutique, generally where you need to focus is around the order entry, streamlining that order entry process, pricing strategies, because you might have pricing breaks based off of order size, pricing breaks based off of order quantity. You might have special pricing because they're sensitive to certain items that they're buying. And then the other thing generally is when you're shipping the goods, they may want you to ship the goods on their account. So using their UPS or FedEx or some LTL carrier's account to ship the goods to them. And the other area that we see a lot of customers struggle is around the payment processing. So the mom and pop boutiques, either you're trying to collect from them, or they're mailing you a check, or they want to pay by credit card, and you're not really necessarily set up with credit card within SAP Business One, so you have all this rekeying of information. So a lot of these we can overcome, and I'll be addressing those as we get through the presentation. But really around this is the pricing, access to the information, and getting the orders into the system, and then collecting payment. When we talk about e-commerce, e-commerce is a very broad topic, because you could just have your own website where you're doing a B2C environment where the customer is directly ordering the goods and you're shipping the goods and you're taking a payment. But normally what happens is, if you're set up for multi-channel selling and you have cases, now you have to break those cases down to eaches. You're dealing with multiple boxes going out with your carriers, so you're needing to have some kind of shipping integration to SAP Business One to get those orders in. You may have credit card pre-authorizations that you're capturing on your e-commerce site, and then you need to settle those when you ship the goods. The other thing that we're seeing a lot of customers doing is where they'll take orders on behalf of drop shippers. So the orders might not be coming in quote unquote via e-commerce. They might be coming in e-commerce to your trading partner, but they're sending you a flat file with all of the orders that they got for the day, and getting those e-commerce orders in, getting the tracking numbers back to your trading partner that you're working with. And trading partner examples, there could be Grainger, Wayfair, Amazon. You could have just some influencer that might be pushing your goods, and then they have their own website that they're getting the orders, and then they're sending you the orders, and then all you're doing is fulfilling and shipping and then invoicing them. So the e-commerce mode, there's a lot of channels around that as well. If you're doing a B2B play within the e-commerce space, it gets even a little bit more complex because of those things like I was talking about before, where you have special pricing for those customers, or you might have discount breaks based off of certain order quantities. We're seeing that there's a need to integrate to EDI for platforms like Grainger and Wayfair, for example. We're seeing the need to perform 3PL because you may have fulfillment requirements that require you to have these goods shipped to the customer within 2 days. So geographically having 3PLs throughout the country in order to meet the demand of the delivery windows becomes an important play for a lot of our customers in order to meet those requirements. And then behind all that, when we ship all these goods, we have to get all those tracking orders back into SAP Business One and also back up to the e-commerce platform or to the trading partner, so that we told ultimately the end customer that's getting those goods that the order's been fulfilled. So in here, the big play is really around integrations and those integrations are multiple, and generally they can be unique, even though everybody's selling on Shopify. For example, not everybody's selling on Shopify the same way. There's B2B, there's D2C, and then there's also B2C. On the e-commerce side of things, there's also fulfill by merchant for Amazon orders, and also fulfill by Amazon, where you need to be able to have visibility to your inventory levels and also reconcile what Amazon has sold so that you have your revenue recognition lined up properly. When we get into selling to bigger retail chains, the business model changes again. So now we're shipping, instead of boxes, we're shipping pallets, or we're shipping multiple boxes of the same goods to multiple stores. And with this, generally you're going to have requirements around EDI. You're going to have rules around how you package goods, how you label the goods. So not only the label on the items, that you have to have a barcode on your items, but also the labeling on the box and on the pallet, because the retail chain may be cross-docking this or scanning. And also from an EDI requirement, you may have to send an advanced shipment notice, and you need to be able to tell them all of the items that are on this pallet and how many pallets you sent. So generally, the retail chains are nice because you have big volume, it's big orders, it's not a lot of touches, but the challenges really come around getting the orders into the system if you don't have EDI, and getting the advanced shipment notices out to the customer, and also the invoices out to the customer via EDI. And then there's also collection issues and reconciliation issues that come with dealing with, I'll call them the majors, major retailers. And that is, generally they have like chargeback programs. So their administration departments are essentially profit centers. And what they're doing is they're reconciling and making sure that, when you're shipping the goods, that you're meeting those needs. And if you didn't put the label on the box properly, they're going to charge you back for that. Maybe you have some co-op advertising that you're doing with them. They will charge that back to you against the payment that they send you. Maybe you're doing some kind of flyer promotion, or maybe you're doing some kind of shelf space buying in order to get onto a profit panel within the retail chain. They're going to charge you for that, and they're chargebacks. So chargebacks are going to generally come in two forms. One is kind of like a chargeback that you know that's coming and you need to reconcile it. And another one is a chargeback where you need to investigate and either accept or reject the claim of that chargeback. And generally you're going to have service level agreements within like how long you have to respond to these chargebacks and reconcile them. So a little bit later I'm going to show you how we can reconcile chargebacks, and how instead of just clearing off the invoices, we can gain visibility to the chargebacks and reconcile them. Now, no retail chain is generally the same. Some may be doing cross-docking, some may have, where the Midwest they send to the specific stores. On the East Coast, they're sending to a distribution center to be cross-docked. So what will generally happen is that you're going to have, multiple pallets, multiple orders that you need to reconcile into a master bill of lading. So you'll have, you might have, 30, 40 orders, sales orders that you're picking, packing, staging, labeling, and then you need to consolidate all of that, get it onto the proper truck at the proper time, so that the customer, when they receive the goods at their dock, they can cross-dock it very quickly. And then some of the other orders, you might be, they might be direct shipping to the stores. So being able to allow the carriers to see what's going on and being able to handle all the paperwork that's required in order to coordinate and meet the needs of your trading partner. So as you can see, each of the retail chains may have their own unique requirements around EDI documents. They might have their own unique requirements around how you handle shipping to them. and they'll also have their own unique requirements around chargebacks and responding to those. So that kind of comes down to the next pieces of the presentation, and that's really around like who's recording this information. So this is an example of an SAP Business One customer where you have a back office where people are picking, packing, manufacturing, shipping goods, and front office staff that are ordering, invoicing, receiving payments, taking orders, selling, all of those types of activities. And everybody within the organization is trying to do best for the organization by meeting the customer's needs, but at what cost? So generally, this is what we generally see is a whole bunch of people that are eager to help the customer and help the customer and help the company succeed, and they're busy. They're generating paperwork and they're reconciling information. But generally, what we see here are a bunch of manual processes, Excel spreadsheets, no integration to the EDI, no integration to the e-commerce platform. And this is going to lead to inaccurate, incomplete, stale data, very little visibility to what's going on within the organization, limited use of financial information outside of the accounting department because of that stale information, and you have to hire a bunch of people in order to keep up with this paperwork. So salesperson comes in, they're super excited, they got a new retailer, and now operations is like, oh, now we got all these new rules around labeling and documents that we're going to have to do, and instead of having like the EDI and having the integrations and the ability to produce multiple different outputs of paperwork, it becomes a whole lot of wasted time in order to meet that customer's needs. And it also leads to the biggest thing, which is only Joe knows that. So, well, what does that mean? Well, why are you putting the label there? I don't know. Only Joe knows that. He told me to put it there. So it becomes a risky. It becomes risky for organizations to have Joes within their organization, especially in today's environment where there's great resignations happening. You have people that might be working from a home office, so you're no longer walking the floor and seeing what's happening in a real-time fashion. So you need systems and processes to meet those needs. So the slide here says at what cost? Well, really, it's growth and profitability that are the real costs. Your inventory levels. Do you have too much or too little? Do you know your landed cost of your goods, especially right now in an inflation period where our supply chain's very tight? Pallet costs have gone from $7 to $21 for a simple pine pallet. So being able to know what your landed costs are of your goods. The other side of inventory is, are you in a regulatory environment where you have to track serial or lot numbers and be able to reconcile that and perform recalls if needed? So these are things that are limiting factors sometimes in that growth potential that your company has. I talked about this as I talked about all these different multi-channels. Accurately processing each of the orders and meeting the needs of the customer so that your customer can be successful and making sure that you're easy to do business with is really important. And as you add more of these sales channels, you don't want to add more manual processes and slowing down things, because that can lead to loss of business, or it could lead to expensive chargebacks in the case of dealing with major retailers. So customers are wanting to interact digitally. Are you ready for that? Sales reps that are working from a remote access, do they have access to your inventory levels? Can they place an order from their mobile phone and get it into the system? Can they see the special pricing? Can they update a forecast in real time so that purchasing can see trends on items so that you can have better purchase planning? And then from a management perspective, if you have these goalposts of stale dated information, and you're not really getting a snapshot until you do like a traditional month end where you do a physical count, and you make sure that all your AP invoices are received and entered. You make sure that all your billing's completed. If you have these hard month end with goalposts like that, you have a very narrow window for you to have the visibility to company performance, and then all of those month end closing procedures and checklists and all of those things that come with not having real time data becomes a limiting factor to visibility into your growth and profitability. So it's not all doom and gloom here. The good news is that we kind of here at Third Wave know the secret recipe in order to kind of help you realize all of these multi-channel sales. And the challenges that I've talked about, they're all solvable and they're not insurmountable. They're very simple to solve, and it really comes down to transactions. It's all about the transactions. Are they automated? Are they accurate? And are they real time? So using SAP Business One, you can overcome a lot of the things that we were talking about by having visibility into inventory, processing orders, getting the information into the core SAP Business One system is going to allow you to do things like multiple unit of measure, enter a forecast, all of those different pieces. And we at Third Wave, we've helped hundreds of customers realize success in ERP, but we've also realized that working with customers that are in multi-channel sales, or also just working with customers in general, is that it goes beyond just the core ERP system. And we at Third Wave call it the 4 C's for SAP Business One. The first C being the core, being SAP Business One. The second C being able to communicate and streamline that paperwork that I was talking about, streamline the communication internally between staff and between your vendors and your organization and your customers in your organization. Being able to connect is the other C, where we can do e-commerce platforms and integrate them. We can do EDI, we can do LTL, we can connect into other CRM systems or other shipping platforms. And then ultimately all of this has to have control around it. So what does a company that realizes the 4 C's look like? Well, the business is effectively mapped into the core system. All the other systems are connected and automated. Anyone can communicate, access, update, or process data from anywhere with staying in lockstep with SAP Business One, the core, and all parts of the business are in control with predictable results. So how do we at Third Wave help you do all of these 4 C's and not just focus on configuring SAP Business One? Well, we do it by giving you options that take that digital core and expand it out and help you really kind of realize all of the pieces around the 4 C's. EDI, we offer EDI for you. We have platform integrations that allow you to integrate to 3PLs, that allow you to integrate to LTLs, that allow you to integrate to Amazon or any kind of flat file. We can do B2B and B2C e-commerce, whether that's integrating to things like Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, and I'll talk about those in a second, or Amazon, as I mentioned earlier. But we also have a B2C and B2B e-commerce solution that's available to you that allows you to launch an e-commerce presence by using your SAP Business One configuration. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me and I can explain more. We've done some webinars in the past around e-commerce as well, so you should be able to find some presentations on that. And in this tight supply chain world that we're living in, supplier integration becomes really, really important, especially if you're doing things like drop ships, or if you're dealing with forecasts and being able to do your sales allocations against your orders, and knowing when you have a CCAN of goods coming in, you know which orders those items are allocated to as you're unloading, so that you can ultimately cross dock and get those goods out quickly. We also give you some control around payments. So that allows us to do credit cards. It allows us to reconcile chargebacks. It allows us to do EFT or ACH payment processing. Maybe you want to have a payment portal so that your customer can get on and pay you. So we provide solutioning around payments. We're also well versed in WMS, so we help our customers realize, implement, and streamline their warehouse and manufacturing operations by using WMS. I talked about shipping solutions where we can integrate. We also have a product called ShipEasy that sits within SAP Business One and can generate your labels for your shipments, and also puts the tracking numbers into the orders as you're processing. One of the big things that we're seeing a lot of demand for right now is container management. So knowing exactly where your container is, and being able to handle the container in a way that you can receive goods, you can update lines, so that you can do those inventory allocations a little bit faster and get the goods and get your fulfillments out, so that you're not dealing with chargebacks, and you're providing that good customer experience of knowing, you know, this is our anticipated warehouse date of these goods. This is when we're going to be receiving them. We also have the ability to help you with your RMAs, and then I'll be showcasing in a few minutes a portal that's going to allow your customers, your salespeople, and your vendors to be able to connect and interact with the SAP Business One data without having to log into SAP Business One. So if you work with us, we will help you realize the 4 C's, and that will really kind of help you get that platform for your strong growth. So when we talk about automating and we talk about integrating, we want to create an environment where data flows in sync with the physical activities that are happening, and maintaining that control. So, you know, this kind of summarizes those 4 C's that I was just talking about. And whether those platforms are e-commerce, LTL, 3PLs, EDI, even like on the expense management side of things, being able to do things like travel and expense reimbursements, integrating into shipping and logistics software, so being able to use Shipwell or ShipStation because your 3PL may be using that, connecting into your 3PL, sending them the orders, maybe helping them by putting a WMS scanner, or having a way for them to receive that container. They can say that that container has been received. You can give them a screen that they can just quickly reconcile that these are the items that were received. So it saves you having to go and finding all the POs and doing goods receipt POs against it. You can receive the whole container, and we can do the goods receipt PO off of that whole container. And I'll show you a screen of how you can do that using our container management. So from an e-commerce integration, we have standard templates that we've built out that allow you to quickly integrate and realize the integration between the platforms. So we've done standard templates for BigCommerce, Magento, Shopify, WooCommerce. We've also done for Amazon Fulfill by Merchant integration, and we also have the ability to take Fulfill by Amazon flat files and do all of your revenue recognition and inventory reconciliations when you get that report from them, versus having to key all that information manually. So when we talk about e-commerce integrations, I've seen and talked with a lot of SAP Business One customers that have an integration, but it doesn't necessarily meet all of the different channels of e-commerce that they're doing. So they end up with having to do a lot of rip and read because error handling isn't innate in the system. They might be using their e-commerce for their B2B, but they're using the standard retail pricing. And then they have to go in and they have to reconcile the order and put all the wholesale discounts on it. And then one of the big things, as I talked about with e-commerce earlier, is today you might be on Shopify and Fulfill by Amazon, but maybe you're going to be doing Grainger, or maybe you're going to be doing Wayfair, or maybe there's some new platform that's coming out next month that we don't know about. You need to be able to integrate to those platforms as well, and you need to be able to do that quickly, affordably, and meeting the configurations and the language within your SAP Business One environment. So when we talk about e-commerce integrations, you need to look below the surface for the unknown and rarely discussed points around it. And I do invite you, if you are struggling with e-commerce integrations, reach out to me and I can help you navigate, what you're looking to do. So for the next 10 minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the solution side of some of this. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you our Versago platform that allows you to have all those different types of users, whether it's sales, an owner, a customer, an employer, or a supplier, to be able to access information within SAP Business One and interact with that information. So I'm going to log in. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how Versago can help you. And then I'm going to get into some of the integration solutions. I'm going to show you chargebacks. I'm going to show you container management and also just some credit card solutioning. So this is Versago. Versago deploys as a portal-based platform that uses a web browser. So you just go to a URL on any web browser, whether that's Safari, Chrome, Firefox, whatever Microsoft's calling their web browser this month. You can go out and you can give a login to a user. So I'm going to log in as a sales rep to start here. And when I log in as a sales rep, I can provide information to the sales rep in a real-time fashion that's showing their data. So we can see the order volumes, we can see the delivery volumes, we can see the invoice volumes, we can see the credit memo volumes. We can also have their commission report linked to this if you need. We can give them access to the inventory so they can see all of the inventory that's out there, what's on hand. They can drill into that information and see which warehouses have that inventory. So very quickly they can get in, see information, drill into it. They can go in and they can create a sales quote for a customer. And when we call up that specific customer, we can also pull in their special pricing as we go in and enter the row detail of that order. So, as we add the items in here, it will look up and it will pull the pricing based off of the customer. We can go and we can look at all of our customers' contact information. We can see the customer's forecast, their balances, like what do they owe us. And this is going to be narrowed down to just what's within my territory as a sales rep. So I can see exactly what's outstanding. We can put this out in a graph format. And one of the big areas that we're seeing a lot of demand, especially in the tight supply chain, is around customer forecasting. So as a salesperson, I can go in and I can look at a sales forecast. I can see this in periods. I can see it by items. So we can see demand by items here. We can also see it by customers. So we can see which customers are going to be giving me the biggest part of our forecast. And we can go in and we can enter and update that forecast. So this is going to allow purchasing and management to be able to get a little bit more front window on where we're at versus reactive on orders coming in. So very easy for a sales rep to be able to interact with quotes, orders, business partner information, forecasts. We can also do things like traditional sales pipeline management, so going in and managing your pipeline through different sales cycles. We can help you work leads and track leads. We can give you visibility into returns, so they can go in and they can enter a return request. And we can have workflow that's outside of SAP Business One. We can leave it in Versago, for example, where now the sales manager who's on Versago can view that return request and approve or decline it as well. So as a sales rep, basically all the things that you would need to do within SAP Business One, you can ultimately do using the Versago platform. Now, if I go in as a customer, this is where we can start to self-service as a customer. So I can go in and I can create a quote request, I can place an order, I can pay my outstanding invoices. Maybe I want to register a serialized item for one of my customers on their behalf. So we can very easily and simply provide self-service where they can confirm their payment and pay by credit card or e-transfer. We connect to the Crystal Report runtime, so we can give them all of the documents that are specific to them in their specific format through the Crystal Report runtime, so that they can self-serve, they can print off their historical information. We can show them all of their purchasing activities, so maybe they just want to do that order pad that I talked about earlier, where they just want to reorder things that they bought in the past. So in here, they can see this is the current price, this is the item. They could also see down below what they last paid for it and how many they ordered. And they can quickly just enter in their order pad, click submit, review their order, send it in, and that order is going to be entered into SAP Business One for us. No more ripping and reading. Now, from a vendor standpoint, we can interact with providing vendor scorecard. We can interact with a vendor by giving them, here's all the orders that we have with you. We can have them update container information and packaging information, and respond to requests for quotes using the portal as well. So if you're interested in seeing that, reach out to me and I can give you an overview of all the different types of roles. You can see I have 30, 40 different roles of the way that you can use Versago to interact with data. So if you're shop floor and you need to capture production information or you need to adjust inventory, you can use Versago for that as well. So that's Versago, and what Versago ultimately allows you to do is access and interact with the information, get information at either a high-level report or right down into the details like I showed within the inventory level side of things. Now, when we get into a little bit more around our solutions that are going to help you with multi-channel in addition to the Versago platform, I'm going to jump into our demo environment here and I'm going to show you some things. One of them being Bizweaver, and Bizweaver is our integration tool that allows you to integrate to all of these different platforms. And then I'm going to, as I mentioned, show you container management, chargebacks, and credit card. We recently did a webinar on WMS and a podcast on WMS. So if you're interested in WMS, reach out to us. I also have in the webinar today Aaron from Wysis. He's a WMS expert. So if you have any questions about WMS, you can put them in the chat and we'll address those questions at the end of the webinar today. So I'm going to go into my demo environment here and I'm going to log into SAP Business One. And I'm going to show you a couple things that we can do within SAP Business One as a multi-channel reseller. One is maybe you have a bunch of credit card authorizations that you need to reauthorize because of back orders. And this is where we have all of these sales orders that are outstanding. We have the credit card token that we got either from entering it into SAP Business One, or we got that token from the e-commerce platform, and we can simply go in here and we could reauthorize the credit card for that order. We can also do that off of AR invoices. We can settle off of the AR invoices. So within here, this is also where we can take all of our deliveries that we've created, and we can create our invoices, and we can also create our incoming payment against SAP Business One and charge a credit card as we're doing that. So instead of having to manually key all of those incoming payments and then try and reconcile your credit card statement against all of those incoming payments, we can streamline and automate all of that using our credit card module. So the credit card module basically allows you to capture a pre-authorization and then settle, or we can simply have a card on file and we could settle against that card on file. So in the example of the mom and pop boutique where they have a credit card on file with us, we can simply just settle. So you can see here that this 5286, I don't have a pre-authorization, but I do have a card on file, so I can settle against that card on file. So our credit card module is a great place for you to streamline that payment activity and to really kind of handle a lot of the things that multi-channel provides a little bit of hiccups around, and that is really around capturing that authorization and settling that authorization. We can help you with that. The next area that I want to get into is our chargeback module. And our chargeback module allows you to, as you're creating an incoming payment, you can go in and you can identify a chargeback that the customer has claimed. And instead of it just being a short payment on account, or they're paying that invoice, let's say they're paying one invoice and then they have 3 chargebacks, like in this example, instead of it being short paid against that invoice and trying to reconcile the collection against that, what we do is we take that chargeback, and you can see that we can have these chargeback types that are completely definable by you, and we can put the reference number that the customer gave us when they gave us that payment. And in here what we do is we create a link between the original invoice that the payment was applied against, and we create this chargeback invoice that sits against the business partner until we reconcile and either approve or disapprove this this credit card chargeback, or the chargeback, because maybe we want to send that invoice to the customer and say we don't approve this shipping chargeback because here's the sign-off copy of the trucking firm saying that they picked it up on time. It was not a late pickup. But in here, what we can do is we can go in and we can see, the chargeback information. We can link these chargebacks into certain GL accounts for clearing and reconciliation, so that it's not all just sitting on your accounts receivable and making a reconciliation nightmare. We can simply clear off the invoice that was paid by the customer, create this chargeback invoice against that clearing account until we reconcile it, and then over here we can have approve or decline, and we can set up who can approve and who can decline based off of the chargeback types. So this allows you to do all of those reconciliations that if you're dealing with major retailers and you're dealing with chargebacks, this is going to be something that you will really enjoy having, because it really streamlines the accounts receivable function of reconciling and gaining visibility into where those chargebacks should be allocated from a cost perspective as well. So those 3 quick things within SAP Business One, being the credit card batch processing and batch settling, and the reconciling chargebacks. The last thing I want to show is something that we've had a lot of interest in lately, and that is container management. So this is the ability to go in and identify a container, link in multiple purchase orders, and multiple line items and have maybe different quantities that are in that container versus what's actually on the PO, so that you can have your row totals matching your PO lines. And we can also do things like splitting this out, and we can link these things back to the sales orders. And you can also see here that we can calculate out volumes and weights. So you can actually build up a C container here as you're doing it, because you can set up your container sizes and your container volumes. Now, what's really nice about this is the streamlining the process. So you can start planning a container, you can ship it, you can track when it's at port, you can track when it's cleared customs, you can then receive it, and instead of having to go line by line, you can receive all of this into a receiving warehouse, and then you can either cross-dock those items, or you can do a put away from your WMS. So it streamlines that whole process. You can gain visibility to your dates as well. So we can put formatted searches in that calculate if the departure date is February 28th, our warehouse date is, this many days plus. And we can put formatted searches in that calculate that. The other thing that this will do is we've automated the process that we can look at these PO lines, and we can update those PO lines with what the warehouse date's going to be, so that now we have true visibility when we're looking at our inventory allocations and we're looking at our available to promise, that we actually have real information of the inventory quantities and when they're actually going to arrive, versus just we have 5,000 of these items on order. I don't know when they're going to be arriving. We know because we have container management enabled within our environment, and we're updating those PO lines as they're coming in. We can even update the corresponding sales order lines so that we can maintain communication and updating the customer on when we're going to be shipping those goods based off of the warehouse dates, so that everybody has visibility to what's going on within the organization. Now, the last piece that I want to cover off is Bizweaver, and Bizweaver is like the best employee for automating that you would ever not hire. And basically what Bizweaver can do is it can go out and it can connect to other platforms like Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce. We can connect out to 3PLs and grab flat files, or we can grab data from SAP Business One, and then we can convert that data down to the text file or the XML format that your 3PL wants, and we can even deliver it using Exchange or email. We could deliver it, or we can FTP. We can connect to an FTP and we can drop that file into their FTP. So from a 3PL perspective, we can interact and send the orders up. From a orders in perspective, we can get the e-commerce orders in. We have our own EDI solution that allows you to set up and communicate with your trading partners using EDI documents. So if you're interested in EDI, this is an area that we can really help you streamline and get everything set up. We also have the ability to connect to things like Shipwell and ShipStation from SAP Business One. So this really allows us to do all of these different integrations using a single platform. And it really kind of allows you to scale your business and not be afraid of adding that new customer, because we know that we can handle those transactions and do all of the different pieces around it. And as I mentioned in an earlier slide, we have standard templates that we've built out for all of the e-commerce, like Amazon, BigCommerce, Magento, Shopify, Woo. And then the other area that Bizweaver becomes really powerful for is the ability to do things like intercompany. So maybe you have a manufacturing company and you have a wholesale distribution company, and then you have an e-commerce company. We can flow the sales orders to the manufacturing site. The manufacturing site might drop ship that on behalf of the sales organization, and then we can pass the invoices and orders back and forth through automated processing. So if you need to see a demo of that, it's about a half an hour demo. We can step you through and show you how we can do all of the intercompany. Another area that we do a lot around is SAP Business One automation. So this is where we can do things like landed costs. We can create item styles. We can do validations. We can create, thousands of items. Instead of using DTW, we can grab a flat file, or we can grab from your supplier's XML file. We can convert that in and we can add those items in. So in e-commerce, this is a good area where you might have items that are out on your e-commerce store that you don't have in SAP Business One, but when that order comes in, Bizweaver can pick it up, recognize that that's an item that's available, add that item into your SAP Business One database, and then add that order, so you don't even have any of those errors that you would typically spend a bunch of time reconciling your information against. So I could go on and on and on about all of the great things that Bizweaver can do for you. And if you're interested in a demo of Bizweaver for something specific, reach out to us. We can step through and show you, all of these different solutions. We can talk about, how they would fit within your organization. So I talked about, these hundreds of customers that have worked with Third Wave. So what's it like to work with Third Wave? Well, we're the most experienced SAP Business One Gold partner in North America. We help scale and support your business every step of the way. Our expertise extends beyond the core SAP Business One configuration and ERP, as you can see, because we have integration and we understand all the nuances around supply chain and around meeting your customers' needs. Our customers enjoy having a single provider for all of those needs. And then the other thing that we do is we work very closely with you to elevate your level of self-sufficiency to the level that you want it to be. So if you want to do some of these integrations on your own, we show you how to do it. We provide a wiki that has all the documentation. We provide training videos so that you can go in and do all of that. And then as your system requirements change and as your organization grows, we're there to help you and assist you. And I think this is really why our team we realize a customer retention average of about 98.7% on a year-over-year basis, and we are the only partner in the SAP Business One channel to ever achieve 100% customer retention. So if you work with us, you're working with somebody that's truly interested in helping you grow and help your organization be successful. So here's a few quotes from some of the customers that have worked with us. This is a quote from technology director in Kansas. Bizweaver will grow with us as the marketplace and platforms demand a dynamic connection to SAP Business One. And then we have one from Vuzix. Versago has helped eliminate redundant work, allowing more time for value-added tasks. And we've been recognized by SAP for our innovation. We were provided the Top Innovation Partner Award recently for our innovation around integrations and portal platforms. So this concludes the formal part of today's multi-channel sales, eliminate enterprise issues, and position your organization for growth. I thank you for joining us today. I do have Corey Lynn, the CEO of Third Wave, on the line with us, and I also have Aaron from Wysis WMS available for any questions that you may have. I do ask that you either use the questions module to enter your question or put your question into the chat area, and I can either dive back into our demo environment and show you, or Corey or Aaron or myself can answer those questions for you. Just give it a minute or two here, see if there's any questions. Okay, well, either I completely confused everybody, or I covered off, how we can help you with this. And as I mentioned, thank you for joining us. And if you do have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm here to help. So, even if it isn't something within SAP Business One, I'm here to help you. So until next time, everyone, thank you and take care and stay connected.